Alright, what it is, Daniacs. We are here with Coach Renz over there at Deconstructing Christianity. And I've been watching his stuff for a while now. It doesn't really apply to me because I wasn't raised as Christian. But I appreciate the work he does and I like his style. And I've just been hanging out in his chats. And he finally had enough of my comments. He's like, all right, dude, call in. Let's talk about it. So I did. And here we go. Roll with the dark light. Step into Dane's world. Y'all appreciate it. I am the brightest night. I am the darkest light. And I am ascending. The dark light is upon you. I'm a non-Abrahamic true monotheist. And that's what this episode right here, we're just having a good little conversation about it. I think he claims Kemetic pretty much.
So you absolutely don't derive your theology from the Bible. I consider myself non-Abrahamic, true monotheistic. Followers of Abraham are a blood cult of sin worshippers. I would agree with you on that. My question is, where do you derive your theology from? And what is that theology? If you don't mind, I'm just...
Spoiler alert, and I get into this. Actually, I'm just going to maximize this little screen right here, and I'm going to interrupt very little. Because I do most of the talking in this bitch anyway, but we have some good back and forth. My number one thing I want to do for my channel is actually interviewing true believers. I like to explore perception, and I'm utilizing this chance to also reach out and explore his perception. So let's roll with it.
Not trying to call you on a carpet or anything like that, just curiosity. It's just her guilt from the hanky-panky. So you got 3 kids. Just remind her that marriage in the Bible is the commitment and the sex. Marriage in the Bible has nothing to do with paperwork from an American government or any other government. That is just cultural, because there was no government back in the time. There was no government marriages back in the time of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, time of Jesus, time of any of these stories. Every aspect of there's no time in the Bible where people engaged in marriage based on paperwork. And it is not the law. You don't have to be married to live with each other and to have a family. You say, I can call in sometime? Like right now? Oh yeah, I forgot to put that out there anyway. So let me put the invite out there anyway. Oh, and she just started walking that God path? And y'all got 3 kids. If y'all can make it work and y'all are happy and y'all demonstrate happiness and y'all work together and you're raising the kids and the kids are healthy mentally and emotionally, do what you do. Keep working at it. I would just stop having conversations about it. There's one Christian lady that I was with. I just told her, we're just not going to ever talk about this. This is just not something we're going to talk about. Otherwise, it's just going to create problems in other aspects of the relationship. But she kept talking about it, and it did create other problems. Plus the fact that she stopped being who I dated, and then she had to go. I thought the word God came from a German word. That'd be interesting about Gotham. I don't know. I've never looked up Gotham. I'm a Marvel guy, so Gotham really doesn't like me. You know what, James? I actually do have some advice for you. And I'm not trying to be funny. So I had this, when I was the sales manager at New Horizons Computer Learning Center in Tampa, I had this young lady. She has a great personality. And she was a salesperson. She was one of my salespersons. But she had a very low command of the English language. So I don't know how she got hired, but they hired her anyway. So when I took over as sales manager, and I recognized that we almost lost a $69,000 sale because the people we were talking to looked at her funny when she would speak. So I had her copy the dictionary, literally page for page, copy the dictionary. And it helped her tremendously with her command of the English language. That is the only advice I can give you. Other than you're not helping your case as far as trying to convert anybody over. Let's bring Dark Light on here.
What up?
How you doing, man?
Hey, thanks for having me on, bro. Appreciate it. I'm at a friend's house right now.
Cool.
I live off-grid in the Ozark Mountains with a pack of dogs. I have been like that for at least 8 or 9 years now. It's probably more like 10.
Ah, okay.
And I mean off-grid the hard way.
Better than me?
Yeah, no, I just had a brutal fucking winter. I've been rushing it. I got like a little house dealio started. I just didn't have it finished up for the winter and shit. So I just had to rough it out. This ain't my first winter I've roughed out. You know, I've been rough. I've slept in a bed of hay with my dogs and 10 degrees out, you know.
Uh-huh.
Ain't nothing but a thing.
Do your thing, my guy. So I asked the question, where do you derive your monotheism from?
Well, it is a working theory. It's not like some set dogma. I have never claimed atheist my whole life. I was raised as pagan, more like neo-Wiccan, omniist. My mom encouraged us to study everything. So at never any point did I ever claim atheist. And I'm from Florida. There's a lot of atheists down there that were, I talked to a lot of them, and a lot of them said that they believe in something. They just didn't like how a lot of religions describe them. So to answer your question, I pull all of my theology directly out my ass. All right, but it is my personal connection. You know, I will come out and say everyone's connection to divinity or perceived connection to divinity is imaginary friends for adults. But I'm cool with that. I'm not imaginary friend phobic. I'm not trolling either. I'm serious, dude.
I actually, the thing about it is I can appreciate somebody pulling their monotheism out of their ass better than I can somebody who pulls it from some old book written by people.
Yeah. I'd rather pull it out of my own ass than out of someone else's ass that might not have even existed. You know, shit.
Yeah. I can respect that more. I can respect that. I honestly can.
Yeah.
Because, you derive it from if I'm understanding you correctly, you derive it from within yourself.
From myself, yeah, just from myself.
Shit outside of you.
I'm a fool for my own folly. I make my own Kool-Aid. I drink my own Kool-Aid. It's good fucking Kool-Aid. Y'all can't have none. I ain't trying to convert no one. I ain't trying to get a commune going. I hate people. The most civil thing I do is I don't know, try to talk to people online, but that's about. I like my privacy, man. I live way out in the fucking middle of nowhere in the wood.
Where you in Arkansas?
Yeah, yes, sir. I'm about an hour south of Branson, Missouri. So I'm in north central Arkansas. I'm actually right around Harrison, Arkansas. You know, the Harrison, Arkansas people always talk about. I'm right around there.
I have no idea. Somebody in the comments asked where about in Arkansas. So that was an opportunity.
Okay, I'll just spoiler alert. Harrison, Arkansas is known for housing the KKK. You know, if you just type it in, people fly from all around the world to come out here to go to Harrison, Arkansas to make a video about it. If you just type that in, all kinds of videos are made up about it and shit. But okay, so I live about probably 50 minutes from the house of the actual KKK leader, which I don't know exactly where he lives, but there's a guy right down the road that does, and he was telling me about the general area, and it's a little town called Zinc, Arkansas. It's not even Harrison. Harrison actually ain't that bad. It's some of the smaller towns around Harrison that you got to worry about, you know?
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll pass on going to visit.
No, it's bad. It's badass out here, though. It's beautiful, so we can go in a lot of different directions here, but we'll just stick to my theology. So theology is my favorite subject, right? I want to go around and interview everyone of true believers of every theology. And, you know, I don't care what you believe in, as long as you believe it truly. And that's what I want my main thing to do for my channel. I've just been broke as fuck and haven't had the equipment for it in over a year, so I just do a lot of reactions.
What's the name of your channel? So everybody know.
It is at Darklight Ascendant. It's Darklight dash and then lower dash Ascendant. But
okay. Y'all got that? In the comments is at Darklight_Ascended.
Or Darklight dash and then underscore Ascendant.
Darklight_Ascended.
Yeah. And I had to leave the G out of it because that was just one character too many from what they would allow. It's supposed to be Darklight Ascending, so it's ascending without the G on it.
Okay.
Because I am the Darklight and I am ascending. I got my notes. I'm kind of retarded without my notes, man. But the way I see it is, the way I like to describe it is, God is a fractal singularity omnimatrix is the way I like to describe it, which we are all God. Our consciousness is an extension of the omni-consciousness. So fractal is an infinitely repeating self-similar pattern on both micro and macro scales. And then a singularity is a state of being singular. And then the matrix is it's a set of conditions that provides like a substrate in which something can grow as a matrix. And I like to call it the omni-matrix because there's no end to it. You know, it's like infinite levels of the singularity of consciousness on top of each other. And some of the revelations that I've had is the name of the Jesus character. It isn't Jesus. That's a fucking bullshit name. Okay. I think we're all the son of God for one, but okay, so his actual historical spiritual name is Yesayave. That's revelation that has been revealed to me. But I mean, the name don't matter, but it's just a little thing when people are like, "Oh, you must suck the Jesus juice," and I'm like, that's not even the actual character's real name to begin with. But so I see Yahweh, Jesus, and Allah as desert war gods of hypocrisy. I like to come out and I also like to remind people every time the Christians say that we worship the God of Israel, make sure to stop them in their tracks and be like, actually, no, you don't, because the God of Israel is not Jesus. Because the Christians created their own divergent version of Jesus or of Yahweh, and they called it Jesus, you know, and then remade it in their image. But anytime anyone else tries to do that, they're like, no, you can't make God in your own image. They're very jealous about that because they already made Jesus in the image that they want, you know, and they use it as a symbol of tyranny and death. The first thing you got to accept about Jesus is death and sin, okay? They are a blood cult of sin worshipers, is how I like to call it. And I know I've been going on with myself here, but I'm just trying to tell you some of what I think about it.
No, I got the gist. I got the overarching gist of it and some of the details. So for you, let me see if I'm right. Your theology is basically that there's a unified mind that is omnipresent, expansive, all eternal. We are all fractions of that unified mind.
I would call it a quanta.
Right. And our goal is to come to the light, to return back to the unified mind and not be fractured away from it.
I wouldn't even say necessarily that, because the fracturing is part of the journey, which within the infinite freedom of perfect creation, there is every possibility and probability, you know, so that every world exists at some point. I believe in like the the alternate timeline theory, where pretty much every decision that you can come to make, there's another timeline for that. And I'm just saying that's a possibility. But okay, so check it out. I think that all consciousness is an extension of the omni-consciousness, I call it, or some might say God. So the omni-consciousness is the primordial source of intellect and wisdom and individuality, and out from there flows every other individual, of which we are. So we are all co-creators within the Godhood. I like to say we are all a quanta of God. I'm not saying we are all the actual one true creator, but we are all, if the one true creator is a perfect creator, then his creations are going to be perfect creations and also perfect creators. And people get kind of hung up on that word perfect. You know, I'm just kind of throwing it out as a colloquialism that is like a construct that people are kind of, but the followers of Abraham are so successful at manipulating the very perception of what the one true creator is, that like they want their, from what I can tell, and I study this like all day long, fucking Jew theology, Muslim theology, Christian theology. I'm like, even though sometimes I don't want to, I'm just like compelled to like get in there and study it so I can understand it all better. You know, that way I can better criticize it, really. Because as I'm going through it, certain things point out to me like that's not the one true creator. That's not that's misleading about the one true creator. And as I go through all their theology, and so like I used to be afraid of going through it just because I thought I might be afraid of being susceptible to some of their bullshit. But as I go through it, I'm like, there's no how the fuck do so many people get controlled by this for thousands of years? The smartest people capitulate to this stupid fucking shit and those theologies, like
government and military. If the government and the military supports the thought process, the people will follow it.
Yeah.
Especially during time frames where the government easily can come into your house and kill you. So it's not like how it is today in most westernized countries or democratic countries. Back in the Roman era, if the Roman government decided that this is the religion or that you had to follow it, or they could take you out, drag you on the streets and kill you. So you followed it. So it's understandable how people fall into these religions when they were in a state where they didn't really have a choice, you know? They may not be full slaves.
They try to cut your feet out from under you with fear, you know, and that's all baked into the theology that they try to get people to accept. It's all fear-based.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever read the Kabbalion?
The what?
The Kabbalion.
No.
It will be, I think you'll find it interesting. It's a Hermetic book. It's about the 7 Hermetic principles.
Yeah.
And some of what you, I ain't gonna say a lot, some of your theology would match up well with the law of mentalism and the consideration of what the all is and creation and so on and so forth. There's a divine paradox that you actually mentioned. And the divine paradox is the all is in all, but all are not the all.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. Check it out. I think paradox and contradiction are baked into the very fabric of creation, and there are some theories like Gödel's incompleteness theories. I think that points to contradiction and paradox, because numbers are supposed to be the most, you know, the language of the universe. They're supposed to be the most exacting, precise way to describe everything. Yet within, you know, the algebra for the Gödel's incompleteness theorem, you have truths of the system that cannot be proven by that system. You know, that's a built-in contradiction and paradox, just the way I see it. Okay, and also the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, and I think that has a lot to do with the Gödel's incompleteness theorem. You know, but there are definitely aspects, scientific disciplines and theories. And believe me, all kinds of people try to go through and disprove the Gödel's incompleteness theorem, but actually accepting that helped them, get their maths on.
Now you can't just say theorems without explaining them.
I ain't too good at the maths, but I don't got enough Jew in me to be good at the maths. I got just enough Jew in me to where if someone's trying to fuck me on money, I like a little tingly goes off. So I'm like, oh, did they try to fuck me? I don't know what's going on, but I feel it. You know, you just pump the brakes for a second.
Right.
Everyone's got a little Jew in them. They make sure of that.
That's so damn racist.
No, I'm just saying. They made sure
So
yeah, we're gonna spread that thing. But I mean,
oh man, but anyway.
Hey, the things I say have no reflection on Coach Renz, y'all. All right, you take it up with me. It's a disclaimer. I need a disclaimer before I go on live with anyone's show.
No, that's fine.
Anything I say is reflected on me.
Well, they heard you say it. They didn't hear me say it. So
Yeah, exactly. It came out of my mouth.
I would just say that everybody has a tendency to want to make sure that they don't get cheated out of things. So that's not something that any one group has over the other. It's just
I don't believe that. I think some people really don't mind. Like, but some other people, they just got a sixth sense. You know, you're trying to fuck me. I can feel it. Anyway, all right, we'll roll on into this. All right. But I was raised up in hoods, dude. I was raised up in hoods most of the time when I was a kid. The formative years, they call it. And I finally moved out to the woods when I was about 14, 15. I got out of the hoods, went to the woods, and been tripping on mushrooms and acid ever since.
Now you're talking my language.
When I was 13, I was allowed to smoke weed. When I was 14, I was allowed to trip on acid. When I was 15, my mom was taking us to it's called Livestock down in Florida. It was like a mini Woodstock. They had it every single year for a long time. And I went every single year from the time I was 15 until about 24, so when they quit having it.
That's a cool-ass mother.
Yeah, no, she was cool. She was cool. She would be bipolar. She was a little bipolar. You didn't fuck around with mama, but, you know, we'd have trip parties at the house. She didn't want us tripping other places, so we'd have some friends over. We'd be tripping at the house, but she'd be supervising us and shit. But that's how she was raised, too. She was allowed to trip when she was 14.
Now, that's one of the things that I always find interesting is that people who have not some things, but some people who have used some what they call mind-altering, you know, stuff.
Well, I like to call it spirit journey. That's a spirit journey. There's a difference between tripping and spirit journey. It's all about the intention that you go in. And I would like, as a disclaimer, I'd like to say anyone that goes into a psychedelic state, make sure you do it for the right reason. You control your surroundings. If you have any kind of bad feeling, don't do it. Just hold on to it until later until you feel good about it. Yeah. Because I definitely had some bad trips until I realized the right way to do it. Because, I mean, my mom was there, but she was never taught the right way to do it either. You know, so I had to figure that out. But ever since I figured it out, I have not had a bad trip yet. Every time I do it, it's for a spirit journey. And it's for, actually, you can look up some of my videos. I just did one recently that was a reaction where I go over some of the videos where I'm doing tongues. And some of those, I did a big old blast of DMT right before. Not all of them, but some of them. And I'll leave it up to y'all to tell me which one. But if you can pick them out, then yeah. But
and I always tell people don't do it because I'm saying it and it's legal, so don't do it. But anytime I take a mushroom, there's always a process of cleaning my body to a certain degree, and then meditating, cleaning my mind, and getting myself ready for it. And I've never had a bad trip. But
never ever?
Because I don't live on fear. I don't live in on anxieties or shame or any of those things. So my trip.
How old were you on your first trip?
My first trip, I actually was about 48, 49.
Okay, so you started a little bit later?
Oh, yeah, a lot later. So all these, my mind being open to hermetics and alchemy and all those things came long before. The trip just took me at another level for me.
Yeah.
I was already in an understanding that most of these books and beliefs are bullshit and all that sort of thing, and that understanding, I already understood alchemy, I already understood hermetics and things of that nature. So the trips just helped me to see it even clearer and see it better. And
now, you were raised up in Christianity, right?
Yeah, born and raised.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've had a problem with Christianity since I was 9.
Well, it's hard not to. The more you learn about it, the more questions are raised, and they don't like questions, you know?
No, especially in the South.
Yeah.
If growing up in the South, asking questions was considered to be demonic.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, and
How dare you question?
So I was very much demonized by the Christian church at that time frame, different Christian churches.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I had a supportive grandmother.
Yeah.
And I have a supportive family, so it never affected me in my home. It wasn't, and I literally was trying to prove Christianity from, even though I had a problem with it, I was trying to prove it from 9 till about 30, 36 is when I just was like, this shit just not, I just can't. Every time I go to prove it, all I do is no more. Mm-hmm. So I finally just had to let it go around 36. And, you know, from then, and now once I let it go, though, instead of the turmoil that I was experiencing and trying to hold on to it and make it work, the freedom and release and peace that I received within myself was just unfathomable. I just couldn't believe it. It was so peaceful on the other side. The grass was very much greener on the other side. Yeah, I was crab grass in Christianity, and I was on that St. Augustine grass outside of it.
Yeah, it's pretty out there in St. Augustine. I've been out there.
Mm-hmm. So I was walking on that good grass at that point. And then, like I said, the trips just helped me to see things even more clearly, understand the universe better. And so I could never see myself going back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was really lucky being raised the way I was. I think I didn't have anything forced on me, you know. But my mom just let us read and study whatever. She might have suggested things, but nothing was ever forced. She would take us to a Coven meetup, which when I was a kid, when she walked in with kids, they would kind of cancel the whole thing, be like, never mind, we'll do it later, which I thought that was kind of stupid. It's like, how are you going to pass it on to the next generation if you know, you're not doing anything in front of them? Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I claimed spiritual for a long time, and I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know, spiritual can go in so many different directions, and it's kind of ambiguous these days as to what that even means. And I was thinking about it. I do believe in the construct of the one true creator. But I don't believe, you know, I don't come to that conclusion through the Abrahamic religion. And actually, the more I study the Abrahamic religion, I see how they have just used the construct. Like, they want Yahweh to have all the awe and glory of the one true creator without extending any of the responsibility and the dignity to the creation. You know, how can you be a perfect creator and then you create knowledge and free will, but then all of a sudden, wagga wagga beam bam, now knowledge and free will is the conduit for sin and evil. It's like, and then you try to blame that on your creation. It's like, no, you created everything. So like, I can use the 10 Commandments to prove that Yahweh is not the one true creator. I would right off the bat because, okay, a perfect creator in perfect justice, he would not break his own commandments, okay? If the one true creator has the power of creation, and any limitations you wish imposed, you would build that into the fabric of reality, such as the natural scientific laws. I think natural scientific laws are themselves examples of the actual limits of the actual one true creator, which has no name. People are like, well, what's the name? There is no name because he owns every single name. I say every word ever spoken is the word of God. Followers of Abraham say, no, only this book is the word of God. I say every word ever spoken is the word of God because we are all God. Or we are all an extension of the Godhood.
I can see that in the idea that since this God, according to the Abrahamics in Isaiah, he claims that he created both the good and the evil. And since man creates his own good and evil, I can see that point being made from that perspective. But from the Hermetic perspective, God could not exist that is all good.
Well, I don't believe in evil. I don't believe in the construct of evil. I believe in bad. I don't believe in evil, me personally. I don't believe in sin or evil.
Well, the only sin I believe in is a sin that you when you do things against your own good nature, or against your own self, rather.
Well, once again, I would call it a mistake. You know, I believe in mistakes and bad, which is different from sin and evil, because mistakes and bad can always be corrected. Like, they're just there to point you in the right direction. They're not there to be loathed
murdering somebody? How are you gonna correct murdering someone?
Do what?
How can you correct murdering someone?
What do you mean?
You say there is no sin, but if you murder someone, that's not a mistake.
Well, see, something that a lot of people will do. So when I say I don't believe in sin, people will like think of the most horrific thing and be like, "Well, that's a sin." Well, I don't agree that's a sin. I would say it's bad. I wouldn't agree with it because I have I believe in subjective morality. I actually say, and this is something I wanted to talk to you about too. That you were talking about the other night when you were talking about absolute truth. Mm-hmm. I got a much different perspective on absolute truth than most other people. Because I say anything within the realm of perception is inherently subjective and relative, and that extends to truth because the very term truth is only empowered by our conscious thought. You know, the actual truth of a thing or an object or an event is entirely dependent on the perception of all the sentient singularities around observing it.
Okay. But to murder someone has to be wrong as an absolute truth. There is no situation where murdering someone is positive. It's not.
In defense, I would say, if you're asking me,
premeditated murder. So when I say murder, I'm speaking on premeditated murder. I'm not talking about self-defense or defense of others. Premeditated murder. I come to the Ozarks, I hunt you down, and I murder you for no reason, or even if I think I have a reason.
Hey, all the stuff I said about the Muslims, they're coming, don't worry. So, hey, I blasted out my location and my phone number. I said, come see me, motherfuckers, they're coming, don't worry.
So, but me doing that to you is something I wouldn't want done to myself or anyone that I care about or anyone, period. So that would be a not subjective morality, but a objective morality, a definitive truth that is wrong to murder someone, premeditated murder of someone. And
I'm not going to say. I will say that I agree subjectively. I absolutely agree subjectively that is wrong. But I absolutely acknowledge that someone else's objective perception might be different. And okay, let me put it this way. You can have everyone, at that point, you are trying to multiply subjectivity and transmute it into objectivity. When you say, okay, everyone agrees that this is bad, therefore that makes it absolutely bad, but that is actually just making it a subjective construct of
I don't care if everybody agrees with it. Everybody doesn't have to agree with it.
Okay.
So I don't need the agreement of everybody else to look at it and say that if I have no causation to hunt and hunt you down and murder you, then it is wrong. Everybody else can disagree with it. Other people can think that I should be able to do that. None of that matters. Because objectively, it's wrong. To rape someone is objectively wrong. Regardless of what anybody else thinks, it's just wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't need consensus on that.
Yeah. So
that's why it never touches the realm of subjective morality, because it doesn't require anyone's agreement.
Well, that's entirely subjective, though. That's entirely relative to your own perception.
No, it's just relative to life, period.
Well, you said for me personally, I don't need anyone else's agreement or validation for my perception, because my perception is so strong. That is inherently a relative. You are basing all of that off of your relative awareness. So
even if I take away me personally, to hunt and to murder someone in cold blood, to rape someone, is just wrong. Period.
Okay. Me personally, I don't want it unless they're saying, yes, Daddy, give it to me.
Huh? I hear you.
I don't want it unless they're saying, yes, Daddy, give it to me. I don't see how anyone could want it. If a bitch says no, it's like, I don't want that skag meat anyway, ho.
Skag meat?
You keep your no.
And there are people who like that, though. But
yeah, no. They're Muslims and they're invading.
No, not
all of them. Okay, not all of them. I will throw that out there.
Majority. It's not even the majority.
Over there,
the majority of Muslims are cool people. They're nice people. They're moral people. The majority don't go around murdering and raping people.
No, not the majority, but it is a minority that does it. But okay, well, what happens? Just like with all the mass exodus of all the Muslims that came into, look at Europe right now. Look at the United Kingdom right now. That they are Sharia cops everywhere. That they came in as a minority, but the stories were suppressed. But there was mass raping when the immigrants first came over into Europe. I'm just saying. I'm not saying all of them do it, but that probably was a minority. But
exactly, it's a minority of Muslims who even follow Sharia law.
Yeah,
but you're always going to have the worst things that happen in any human civilization is always happening with a minority of people.
Yeah,
it is hardly ever happening with the majority of people.
Yeah, but also that silent majority is allowing that violent minority, and that's not just with the Muslim. That happens with any group because the silent majority are too afraid to speak out or do anything, to hinder that violent minority.
Right, and this is a problem with people in general. If it's not affecting me, I'm not going to say anything about it.
Yeah.
The only time I'm going to raise my voice is once it's affecting me. But there was a writer back in the early 1900s during the whole World War II time frame. I forgot who said it, but he said something to the effect of, when the Nazis came after the Jews, I didn't speak up because I wasn't a Jew. When he came after the handicap, I didn't speak up because I wasn't handicapped. When he came after I think he said Protestants, I didn't speak up. But then they came after whatever he was, but there was no one left to speak up for him.
Yeah.
So people won't
divide
speak
and
up.
conquer. Divide and conquer.
And people won't speak up until it happens to them. Once it starts happening to them, now everybody will start speaking up. It's just like not too long ago, we had the whole Black Lives Matter stuff going on, right?
Yeah.
It was happening to black people, so black people spoke up. There were some white people that spoke up and other groups that spoke up. But the silent majority of white people didn't say a damn thing because it wasn't happening to them. Once it starts happening to them, if it started happening, oh, you know what? Better example, just hit me. Crack cocaine was not on the table for most for America to say shit because it was in the black community, purposely put in the black community. Once it got into suburbia America, all of a sudden everybody got a problem with it now. The same thing with AIDS. As long as it was considered a gay virus, people didn't have shit to say about it. But once it hit broader spectrum of America, all of a sudden somebody got something to say about it. So you're right. The silent majority is making the mistake by not speaking up against that loud minority. But back to the subject matter, they are still wrong in what they are doing when they rape people, when people murder people based on their cause or their laws or whatever it is. They're still
if you're asking me, yes, I don't agree with that. Yes.
Yeah. They're still wrong. That's why I say that there are very few objective moralities, but there are, and they are the most important moralities that we all should share. There are few. Most of the moralities are subjective, but for the few objective ones, we should all share those. And if we did, these religions wouldn't be able to stand up to them because their moralities doesn't stand up to that objective morality.
Well, and it's funny how Christians try to claim absolute objective morality based on their particular perception of religion. It's hilarious because, as I've said, Yahweh has commanded his followers to kill, rape, and steal. Yahweh has killed, raped, and steal. So, but that's the hill that they're dying on and putting a pin in it and saying, this is the example of morality that should be called objective. And it's completely arbitrary. And so that is an example of exactly what an objective, absolute morality does not look like. Something that is arbitrary and self-defeating.
It is, and they will continue, and religions will continue to do that, just as well as governments and nations and people groups. And that's the problem that we have. That's why, like, if you can call it a theology, my theology, one of the basic things that it hinges on is do whatever you want, as long as it doesn't take away someone else's abilities to do what they do. Right? So
the way I look at it is we are all God, we are all brothers. And I will say my message is ceasefire, motherfuckers. All you guys over there on the east killing each other, ceasefire, dude. We're all brothers. That's my message. So you don't want to hurt someone else because that's just another you through my theology. Taking from someone else is taking from an alternate self of yours. Yeah, the way I look at it.
And I have no problems with that thought process because that falls in line with what I'm saying and what I think. Yeah. But I appreciate you.
I appreciate you having me on, sir. Thanks, man.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. Hey,
what'd you say?
No, I appreciate it. I've been wanting to show up. I'll be doing some reactions to this on my channel here in a little bit. I got a backlog of stuff I got to react to still. So thank you, man. I appreciate it, bro.
Cool.
You have a good night, sir.
You too.
All right.
That was a good conversation. I don't know what the hell y'all. I know y'all been going back and forth about a bunch of other stuff, but I have to listen to who I'm talking to in order to be able to respond properly. I did put the little thing back out there again if anybody else wanted to come on, but until then, let me plug this microphone back in.
All right. Hold on. What it is, Daniacs, thanks for rolling with me. That was my fourth appearance. Didn't have my notes. But I don't have my notes with me right now. So it is what it is. But thanks for having me on, Renz. Appreciate it, sir. This is my friend's house. I live off grid in the woods, but I do have friends that have a house. Anyway, thanks for all the dark light, y'all. I am the brightest night. I am the darkest light, and I am ascending. Step into Dane's world. The dark light is upon you. Here we go. Somewhere. Here we go. Touch it.